give some of this up, but he didn't. So kudos to that. I don't know how he holds it together and sleeps at night, but
I don't think he does. He tweets all night.
right. But he's done a great job of screwing these people and blaming it on anything else but him. And then he will literally sit there and tweet, "Oh my God, now they're attacking me, guys. They hate me so much," you know? And so I really think that's the problem. The problem isn't that it hasn't hit them. The problem is that it's hit them, and he's done a great job at diverting the attention to them to something else. Like, oh no, that's not why this is happening. No, we need to close up our borders, and then your jobs will get better. We need to close up our borders, and then this will happen, and you'll get your 40 acres and your mule. Like, no, that's not how it works, buddy. So, I mean, the biggest problems of his campaign that everybody was, so happy about, the wall, that's going to be funded by Mexico, is now being taken forcefully from U.S. taxpayers. And they still haven't said nothing.
Well, that's another subject. I think Thinbad has joined us, and I know he, from the political perspective, he can shed a little more light on that. Thinbad, you still there?
I'm here. Technical difficulties. Spent all day in the Genius Bar and came out a complete idiot. But I'm no smarter for the time spent. But speaking of not smart, that's, I think, some of what you all are touching on. And BZ, you're right. It's not that these folks don't recognize. They're not interested in
Right.
recognizing it. They're not interested in the truth. They're interested in the fact that they've got someone at the top who is saying the things that they can't say, and they like having it said. As ridiculous as ridiculousness be damned.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't matter. I don't think as he was trying to ramp up. It wasn't, but somewhere toward the end of last year they were talking about this caravan and all these people coming. When's the last time you heard anything about a caravan?
Right.
Nothing. He's not said anything about it. And I don't know, on some end, too, I think as much as he fusses about the media, I gotta figure that the media is helping him along in some
They
ways
are.
by paying attention to his ridiculousness. Every single thing he said, and people, oddly enough, this is one of I put out earlier today, what would we talk about? What was on people's minds? And a lot of them were still talking about, hypocrisy coming from the White House. I mean, there were different points of view, but a lot of it was about hypocrisy coming out of the White House. And let's talk about that. As if that's not new. It's really not news. It's just more distraction in some ways. I mean, this dude has been this way he's been consistent. And he's not going to change because he's been how he's been, and that's what's gotten him there. So it's hard to tell. How can you tell a guy who's gone against all conventional politics, all conventional wisdom, who's taught, chewed people up and spit them out, lifelong politicians and things like that, and here he is at the helm. The narcissist that he is, he figures this is the way this is supposed to go down. So how can you tell him how he's not going to hear that he's wrong? He's not going to hear that it's not working because here he is, the leader of the free world, the top leader of the free world, and just giving rise and voice to some of the ridiculousness that has divided us since we've been here.
And, the sad thing is, it's not only us. I don't think even he realizes the impact that he's had on the rest of the world, because actually I just pulled up a story where someone wore a MAGA hat to a vigil for the New Zealand mosque shooting victims at York University in Toronto, and the guy was not even a U.S. citizen. He just went, wore the hat, had kind of a smug face and a smug attitude, and he wore it as a symbol of global white supremacy. He showed up to a shooting vigil in a MAGA hat just to piss people off, not even American. Do you understand that? Like, when like, how does that even happen? You have now created a movement that was supposed to be a campaign slogan and made it into a symbol of intimidation, racism, and white supremacy.
Well, I think the symbolism has come, and I think it was really strengthened after the Charlottesville incident.
It was, because he didn't do anything to make people think otherwise.
Yeah, and of course, anyone with common sense would know that you cannot tell me that you have a good person standing on the side of the road yelling anti-Semitic, anti-black, anti-gay. You know, they were just, you're spewing it all. So people are still trying to figure that out. But to that core constituency, you know, that there is a connection there, and so we just have to understand that, you know, this is the bed that we're lying in right now. But the other thing is that these things too cannot fester but for so long.
Right.
I mean, now don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that you're going to see some massive thing going on in the next 5 minutes or even the next 5 months, but eventually, when the people have had enough, you'll start to see things happening. Because the one thing about particularly democracy, is that when people lose faith in the system and they're starting to feel like I can't do certain things, and it just feels like the oppression fixes on, that's when you start to see things happen. Now, what will trigger that? Who knows? And but I'm just hoping that at some point, we'll have some adults in Washington that will, start to move things along. Because, I mean, the reality of politics is, and you'll never get away from that, is, if you're an independent or a Republican or a Democrat, your party wins, your party controls what's going on. And, that's just the way it is. You win as a Republican, you push forward a Republican agenda. You win as a Democrat, you push a Democratic agenda. But I've never really felt in my years that there was just a real viciousness in the agenda or the underlying things that were going on. And I've watched and I've listened to both President Bush's and President Reagan and so forth and so on. And but I never felt that, wow, man, this guy really has it out for certain Americans. And that's the concern that I have. It's almost like there's two versions of patriotism, and if you don't agree with my version, then you can go to hell, and that's not a good thing. I mean, we are all Americans. This is our country as a whole. I mean, I'm just disgusted with that.
Now, the silver lining is, I think that this election coming up, you're going to see a lot of change, a lot of positive change. There are people who have just been so pissed off running through these 4 years that I think that I'm not going to say this is never going to happen again, because history repeats itself. There probably will be some crazy person who runs during my kid's lifetime. But hopefully after this, it will take that long for something like that to happen. It just seems like everybody wants a positive change and that everybody's just tired of the mess, at least the majority of the country. I hope that's a safe assumption. But I'm kind of excited to see the change that comes from this, because a lot of people are saying, oh, well, 2020. I hope that people stick to their guns and we see all this change that they are manifesting.
Sure, yeah, and that's the key. And also, let me remind our listeners, you can reach us at 702-425-7789, 702-425-7789 if you want to share your thoughts with us, or you can certainly chat with us as we're speaking, and we will share your thoughts with the audience. And we're talking again about some of the hypocrisy that's coming out of Washington. And Thinbet, I know that you have been following this one in particular, and I'm just going to ask you as a political novice, not a novice, but a political practitioner, what in the world is up with this obsession with John McCain and just the total disrespect of this man? Can you help us with that?
I don't know. No, that has absolutely nothing to do with politics. That's just more stupidity.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't get it at all. And most of what he is, his issue has absolutely nothing to do with politics. It's his. I don't even know what he stands for really. What is except for division and chaos. He talks about this wall. That's the only thing he's ever really talked about. This whole thing about McCain and the fact that I don't know why. I'm not sure why people are really shocked after the first time when he said, the first thing he said was ridiculous when McCain was still Senator McCain was still alive. It was like, he's not a war hero. I prefer people who doesn't get caught. As it's just ridiculous. It's I almost really don't pay him any attention at all, because I'm not expecting anything from him. Because who's it? Maya Angelou said, when somebody shows you who they are, believe them. And so I believe he's a fool. So
well let me ask you that though.
I don't pay attention to it.
But with that being said, though, Thinbad, are we in danger though of making things worse because we've lowered the bar so low that things that are so ridiculous, so outrageous, and sometimes, according to some of the analysts on the various networks, including Fox, have said are almost dangerous. So,
yeah.
I mean, is that something that we should not do?
No, I think sometimes when things are so outlandish for me, and I try to put a spiritual hat or something on, when it's something that's so ridiculous that it makes absolutely no sense, I often think things happen to see what the rest of us will do. How much will we take? How long will we sit still? When will we begin to do more than be shocked? And in this particular case, in this particular society that we're in, the only way that happens, the only way that you get that kind of change is to mobilize folks and vote. That's the only way that you can get that kind of change peacefully. Other than that, you continue to press and press and press, and that's where you have the uprisings that thankfully haven't happened, throughout the cities. They've kind of died down throughout some of the cities, but you still have these lone lunatics going around now throughout the world, in the name of this MAGA, this which has become the new synonym for no one says KKK anymore. You just say MAGA now.
Wow.
And it seems to stand for the same thing. These people who are distorting the word patriotism and for exchanging the word patriotism for narcissism. It's just it's the only way to do that is to get out, to vote, to call it out, and I think we know it. I think we've been doing that, and 2020 can't get here fast enough. But people are talking about, well, the other side doesn't have anything that they're saying. What's their platform? And they say, well, the platform is to get him out of office. That's the platform right now. So how do we go about that? I mean, we are in, it is dangerous. And in the midst of all of this, you still have the issues about climate change and those kind of things happening. But, if you don't take care of the world, you don't take care of the earth, none of this stuff matters. So,
well, let me ask you this.
It's just so much stuff.
Sure. Well, let me ask you this again, as a practitioner. Do you think that they're just? I guess we're way past the point of any type of civility among our elected leaders.
Right.
So, do you think that it's just a win at all cost mentality now? So whatever this guy does, it's okay.
Yeah, I don't know if I certainly don't think it's that anyone thinks it's okay what he's doing, but I think in some ways they have to temper what they do. At one point there was this huge talk about impeachment, and now they're kind of backing off of that because you don't want to divide the country anymore. But you just you have to kind of use whatever